Hello, everyone. I am back, and this is part two of interest led learning the high school years. And the very first video that I did earlier this week was basically to give you an idea of what interest led learning looks like in our home from the early years all the way through the high school years and beyond. So that was just kind of a snippet, but now I'm going to get into the details to kind of let you know exactly what it looks like for us. Doesn't mean everyone's high school years looks like this. Doesn't mean every unschooler runs their household the way that I do, but I just kind of want to share what works for us, just in case it may work for you too. And I'm always open to hearing the things that work for other people that we may be able to utilize. But I want to talk about a few things that could be helpful and kind of talk to you about what our plans are. We have not graduated anyone yet. I have two high schoolers and or high school aged children. I guess you could say we don't really do grades per se, but they're high school age, and so we kind of fall into that category. But I wanted to share with you what our plans are, what we already do, what our plans are over the next year and the next few years to prepare them for adulthood and a successful adulthood. Because after all, that is what we do as parents, and especially as homeschool parents, having the time and the energy to be able to dedicate to preparing our children for the real world. And so I'm really excited about sharing with you what works for us already and what some of our plans are through the high school years for our children. Again, I have a almost 15-year-old, an almost 14-year-old, a 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So I have just about every age group. I guess you could say two high schoolers, almost two middle schoolers, and two elementary. So we kind of cover all the bases around here. But this is our first time doing high school, and so we're kind of working it out as we go. But we think we found a rhythm. We feel like we have plans that we know will work for us. And just so you know, this isn't just me coming up with things out of the blue. I have done a lot of consultations and a lot of research and talked to a lot of unschoolers and interest led learners that have graduated children and children that are doing very well in the real world. And so I have implemented a lot of the things that I have noticed were successful for them and then tweaked them to make it work for us. And again, my disclaimer is that we are not radical unschoolers, but we are the closest thing to what we would consider unschoolers or interest-led learners. So I guess what you call yourself is really not the most important thing. What works for you is what's most important. So let's get started. I'm going to answer some questions for you. We'll kind of do it in question answer form. But what does their day look like? Well, that can be different for every child. Again, interest led learning is really about following the child's lead, following the natural bent, the natural learning style, the passions, and the interests of every individual child. So you can imagine it can be a little exhausting with six children, but it is very rewarding. And so when it comes to their routine, if you've watched any of our videos in the past, we have a series of videos that focus on our theme days. And with our younger children, I do activities that are based on a theme each day, very short activities in the morning before they move on to their interest-led projects that they're working on. And so on those particular days, the older kids also have a routine. And I'll share that with you. You probably won't be able to see it, but I'll go over it with you. It is a laminated sheet that we have in our little family station in the kitchen where all of our stuff is. We have the fun schooling routine, just our general family routine, and then we have a fun schooling routine high school edition, as you can see. So it's slightly different. It pretty much, they don't need me for much of this routine at all. And it's very loose because they could be working on projects that have nothing to do with what our theme days are, and that's perfectly fine. But if they're finding themselves kind of lost and not knowing what they want to do with their day, then they always have the high school edition fun schooling routine to fall back on to see what it is, they could be spending their time doing. Uh, We do have some expectation as far as what they choose to use their time, um, or what they choose to do with their time. Uh, but it is very loose and it is very interest led. For instance, Monday is Math Challenge Monday, and I'll do challenges with the younger children. But generally, what I'll do with my older children, the high school age children, is I will give them life application math challenges that have to do with budgeting or purchasing a home, or like really kind of grown up choices, business choices, and all those kinds of things that would help them think critically and help them understand things on another level when it comes to how math relates to life and finance and all those kinds of things. And then their dad works with them on their level as far as just a basic math. So if there's anything that we do with our older children that is kind of schooly, it may be once a week he'll assign them um, a basic math, assignment, that kind of thing. But most of their math comes from our living math books and the projects that I assign them that are all life application, consumer math, business math, things of that nature that are projects, hands-on projects where they can apply all of those things that they're learning with their dad to these projects. Was kind of twofold. So if there's anything that we use that is structured, that will probably be the only thing. All the rest of the days, you have Tuesday, which is History and Geography Tuesday. Um, and pretty much they have the ability to choose a person, place, or event to study. And they can choose from library books, they can choose from our own personal library, which is quite vast, and things of that nature. So it's really loose. And once they do that project for that theme day, the rest of their day is theirs. So, say for instance, my daughter, who is an author, she's in the process of writing her fourth book. She may spend all day editing her book, or she may spend all day coming up with new book ideas, or she may spend all day reading. And I don't have a problem with any of those choices. Um, because through their reading, they're generally getting their geography, their history, their science, and all of those other things that people may learn in other ways. So, how they spend their day, um, I always want to make sure that it's productive and that it has something to do with their goals that they have set for themselves, but it is very loose. And as far as my high schoolers are concerned, it is very interest led. It's probably more interest led than it is with the younger ones. The younger ones have a lot more freedom because they may not necessarily know what it is that their thing is quite yet. But the older ones are able to pursue those things as much as they possibly want to. Um, and then when they're kind of tired and they want to lay off of it and focus on something else, they have the freedom to do that as well. So I'm going to talk about all of these things just to kind of give you an idea. So they'll go down, and again, you can watch our videos on our theme days to get more information about how we do the theme days. This isn't a theme day video, but I wanted to kind of let you know what their days are like. So my daughter may wake up and she may read before she even takes a shower. She may read for 2 hours. And then she will probably get up, get dressed, have breakfast, um, do a few chores because everybody's assigned a specific chore each day. That's kind of the things that make us not radical unschoolers because we do have chores and bedtimes and things of that nature. But she'll do her chores, and then from there, if it's a theme day and she wants to take part in that theme day, then she will do whatever that theme day is. If she's not really interested in that or not feeling that, she is so incredibly productive. I mean, this child, I don't have to tell her to do much of anything. She spends her day usually reading, writing, and coming up with her own projects. And they're always stellar, much better than something I could come up with for her. So that's kind of how her day goes. She may spend some time fencing because she likes fencing, so she'll practice her fencing. Throughout the summer, she spent time working, doing gardening for a neighbor. So she'll spend time doing that. She may go outside and do some writing, some poetry. Um, She loves to spend time outside and in nature. And so, very free flowing but productive is what her day looks like. For my oldest son, he is 13, almost 14 years old, and his passion, he really has a lot of passions, to be honest. The major one that stands out for right at this moment would be aviation, and he's training to be a pilot at this moment. And yes, he is actually flying planes. We're very proud of him. Um, but he needs a little bit more guidance through his day. And so he's more likely to follow the fun schooling routine that I showed you. I'm going to put it up a little closer to you. He's more likely to follow the fun schooling routine because he needs a little bit more direction than she does. And I'm fine with that because the routine has the Monday morning, which is actually, it has the morning for each day, which is actually usually something that I initiate. We may play a game for that theme, or I might have a project or a writing prompt or something or an idea for him. And he can choose, which thing he wants to do. We have baskets that represent all the themes. And we also, I think it is our Strewing with Success video will tell you more about our daily baskets. As well as on the fun schooling routine, it has the afternoon ideas. So you have the morning, which is actually me initiating a project of some kind on that theme, and they can decide, the older kids can decide whether or not they're going to take part in that or do something else. And then in the afternoon, it gives them suggestions on what they could be doing or spending their time with. So again, very fluid, very open, but productive. And so that's kind of a picture. And throughout the week, every topic that someone else may study in a very schooly manner, they have come across and experienced on their own because they've been able to choose that. They've been able to choose, what they wanted to study regarding history, what they wanted to read about. They even get to choose their math projects. And so that's always exciting. I give them math project books and they choose the project out of the book. It's always a hands-on, life applicable project. And they get to choose what they write about. They get to choose what type of science they want to pursue, what type of art they want to pursue. So it's all very fluid, but it's very productive. And because they're able to choose, they enjoy it. And they retain much more because they've sought the information themselves. So we really love that. But let me get back to my son. His day, he'll wake up. He's usually up quite early, so he does a lot of reading, and he may even do some math if his dad has assigned him something before everyone else is awake. And so once he gets, up and about and everyone's awake and he takes his shower, again, we have breakfast, he'll do his chores, and then after that, he'll take a look at the fun schooling routine and say, hey, let me see, what am I going to do today? Today is Write About It Thursday. So let's see, what do I want to write about? Do I want to ask mom if she has any writing prompts? Do I want to, do a book report? Do I want to investigate something online? What do I want to write about? He gets to choose that. And then through that writing, I have the ability to actually teach different kinds of writing and editing and language arts skills that other people may learn in a language arts actual curriculum. We're able to do that through whatever they choose to write about. So kind of give you an idea. And then so that's his morning. And then in the afternoon, again, I have suggestions on the actual Fun Schooling High School edition for each day to help him decide, give a little bit of direction as far as what you can choose from, the kinds of things that you can choose to do in the afternoon. And as you can see, this is our resource room behind us. It is packed full of books and games and resources and all kinds of things that they can choose from. And then we have two other closets that are also full, jam-packed full of the same things, kits and all kinds of projects and experiments and things of that nature. So there is no shortage of things to keep them busy and keep them learning and inspired. So very important that you realize that we keep things fluid. We keep them very free-flowing, very interest-led. But at the same time, as you notice, all of the things that other people may be studying in a certain way, maybe with a book or a workbook or a class or an online course or something like that, they're learning, but they're choosing when, how, and what they're learning. And so, and it works so well for us. And I love it because it creates motivated learners. And especially for high school, I really like the idea of the independence. I like the idea that they are able to work on something and give it their all and need minimal assistance. Um, it kind of prepares them for those that will go to college. It kind of prepares them for being able to work independently and being able to give their all to a project and learn hands on um, how to accomplish things, without me holding their hand or force feeding them information. So I really, really, really like it. I think it's a great preparation tool um, as far as interest led learning is concerned. So that's kind of how their days go. And then, obviously I have 6 kids. That's only 2 of them. So the younger 4, all of their stuff is thrown in the mix. So you could have 2 or 3 experiments, 4 projects going on all at once. Gets really crowded in the winter time, but in the spring, summer, and fall, you'll have a few kids doing their projects outside. So they kind of spread out a little bit more. But in the winter, we have to kind of make room for each other and give each other space to be able to accomplish what they're doing, because all kinds of stuff could be going on around here at the same time. It's really exciting and fun and kind of an electric atmosphere, because one thing that one child is doing can spark an idea in another child, or they ask for help, and before you know it, it's this amazing creation they've come up with, or project or game or whatever it is that they're working on. So I love to see their minds, work, and just kind of step back and stay out of it and see them accomplish things on their own. They're very proud of the things that they come up with. So that's kind of how the older kids' routines go. How do they set their goals for 4 years? Okay, actually, when it comes to their routine, I wanted to back up just a little bit because they're involved in things outside of our home. As far as my oldest daughter, she is involved in the media department at church. So we kind of consider that an extension of her homeschooling, because she is very interested in film writing. She's very interested in media and different types of film production and things of that nature. And so we kind of consider that a continuation of our homeschooling or of our interest led learning. And so we're very excited about that. And as far as my son is concerned, he's in aviation program, a 4-year program where he has ground school every Saturday, and then he actually flies each month. Co-pilots a plane each month. And so all of those extra things thrown in, and then my daughter does fencing, and then so all these extracurricular things. So I forgot to mention that their days also include practice and study for those particular programs and events. And so they have a pretty full day. It's the day is full of things that they choose to do, but it is still full nonetheless. So some days are busier than others, and then they're involved in youth ministry. So lots of things going on that keep them busy and motivated and excited about life. So, but I wanted to move on and talk about the next question: how do they set their goals for 4 years? First, I'd like to say that we generally do annual goals for all of our children. We are not, we don't go by a school year at all. We just believe that learning takes place all day, every day, 365. And so we don't really do school days or school hours or school weeks or months or times of year. And so in January, the calendar year, we set goals with the children. We allow them to decide, what is it that you want to accomplish in the next year? And then how can mom and dad help you get there? And so we do that with all of the children. Obviously, with the older children, the goals are a lot more concrete and a lot more interest led, so to speak, simply because they kind of know what direction they want to go in, at least at this point. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But so what we do is, as far as high school is concerned, we kind of look forward and then work our way back. We look at, the overall picture. Okay, you want to go to this college, or this is your goal after high school. Now, what are the things that we need to do now in 9th/10th grade that will get you there. Um, and how can we do that in an interest-led fashion where we can continue to enjoy this lifestyle, but still get you what it is that you need? And so that's how we make their goals. We say, okay, for my oldest daughter, she wants to write 12 books by the time she graduates. Okay, well, now she's almost done with book 4. And so she paces herself as far as how many books she wants to write, what she wants to write them about. So she'll make that goal. She'll make a goal toward, where she wants to get in the media department at church, or how the growth that she wants to see, or the experience she wants to have, or the promotion that she's looking to have in those particular areas. She may have a goal for fencing. We will do our goals in January for the 2018 year. But just to kind of give you an example, we do all of that. This past year, one of her goals was to attend 2 writers' conferences, and she did accomplish that this year, so that was awesome. She wanted to take several online writing courses, and she actually took 5. So she kind of exceeded her goal. She did want to have her 4th book written by the end of this year, and that should be accomplished. So those kinds of things. And then mom and dad will get together and say, okay, these are the goals that we think are important. They may not be all fun and exciting, but they're important to you growing into adulthood. So we had already decided, as I mentioned in our in the first part 1 video, that the math that was most important for her was consumer math and business math. And so we will add that as her goal. And so that's why the math that she does on Math Challenge Monday is generally going to be project oriented, hands on, finance driven type math, simply because of the direction that she's going in. So we'll add that in. And obviously she agrees, yes, I need that as well. Not fun, not the most exciting thing, but it's a means. It's important for the direction she's going in. And so another goal of hers for this upcoming year is for the books that she has written, or that it will be writing, because she's already written 3. The books that she will be writing, that she will be doing the entire self-publishing process herself. So we're starting that with book 3, which will be out very soon. We're starting that with book 3, where she is actually doing the inputting of the book, because she handwrites all of her books, which is awesome. But she'll be doing the inputting of the book. She'll be doing the editing, the first edit. I'll do the second. Then we have a professional edit for the 3rd, and then she will be doing all of the downloads and the design and the typesetting and all of that stuff that I did or someone else did for the first 2 books. And so now she's learning how to do the entire self-publishing process herself. And so that's a big goal, but I know she can do it. She's doing really well so far on that goal. So that's kind of how we do it. We look at where she wants to be in 4 years. She wants to go to film school, and there's an excellent film school right here in our city. And she's excited about that. And so we look at what it is that they're looking for, and we set our goals toward that. She's already accomplished some of it through the books that she's written. And there's a few things left on the checklist, literally 2 things left on the checklist that she has to do in order to qualify for admission. And so we're working toward those things, and we'll put those within our goals. And we're excited because they fit within her interest, and so she's excited about accomplishing them. So for my son, his goals are a little different, because he's looking to go to a very traditional university in an aviation program. His first goal is getting his pilot's license in the next 2 years, and he's on track to do that. So we're very proud of him. His private pilot's license, and then following that, he has a 5-step goal. 5-step goal of what he wants to do in that industry. And so what we do is we look up, the college requirements. We look up those things, and we look at every angle that would allow him to accomplish those things, and then just present those to him and let him decide which direction he wants to go. And he sets his goals based on that. So that's kind of how we do that. A lot like other people do it, but we just don't do it in a traditional manner, I guess you could say. So we kind of look out and then figure out what we need to be doing now to get him there or get her there or our future, high schoolers there, based on what their interests are and what direction they want to go in their life. So hopefully that answered that question. Um, let's see the next question here. Why spread topics out over 4 years? This is a good question because I had a couple of people ask me this. So, like, I'll give you an example. My oldest son again is going to has a more traditional goals toward a more traditional university, and as a result, there are specific things that university will require, specific courses he would have had to take and things of that nature. And so instead of doing semester by semester, marking period by marking period, however, your schools are set up, we ask them what it is that you want to study. What's important to you, what intrigues you, what kind of science, what kind of history. And then we create an entire list of websites, an entire basket of projects and kits and activities and games and books and everything that you can imagine on that particular topic that they say they're interested in. It may not be a passion that necessarily involves their career, but they may be interested in that type of science. So, for instance, my son is interested in chemistry, loves chemistry, and so we have an array of resources for him to expand his knowledge in that area. And none of them are textbooks, none of them are workbooks. They're all out of the box ways of looking at the topic, but they give him a really real world, life applicable understanding of the topic. And so we allow him to spend the next 4 years studying that off and on at his leisure. And as he does that, then we record the resources that he uses and the labs that he completes and things of that nature. So we don't just take it, one semester of chemistry and one semester of biology. We don't do it that way. We just decided that we were going to let them decide what it is that they were passionate about and spend the next 4 years dibbling and dabbling in and out of it, and then recording all of that as we go. And they are really excited about that and not having to focus so much on something like that, because their focus is their interest. All of the other stuff is just extra stuff that they're checking out along the way, and we're fine with that. As long as they demonstrate that they have the knowledge and the information that they need to be able to qualify for credit for that, then we're fine with that. So hopefully that explains that question. How can I get them experience in their fields of interest now? This is one of the most important things to me. This is the most important thing to me when it comes to interest-led learning in high school. How can I get my high schoolers, my unschooled high schoolers, hands-on experience in the areas they're passionate about right now? I'm telling you, you got to do a lot of research. You got to talk to a lot of people, because a lot of times you talk to people have connections that know people that know people that know people, or they have had experience with programs or activities in your area that you know nothing about. And that is exactly what happened with both of my older children. And so we've had the opportunity through church, through friendships, through programs in our area, all kinds of things to help our kids get experience in the areas they're passionate about right now. Does that mean that passion will grow into their future career and their life's work? It may or may not. But as I said in the first video, there is nothing they invest their time, their energy, and effort in learning and mastering that is going to be a waste of time. And so your child, for instance, if my daughter decided, okay, I've written 12 books, I no longer want to be an author, I want to do something else. Will it have been a bad thing that she wrote 12 books as a high schooler? Not at all. And so there's nothing that they could, none of their current interests are something that is a waste of time. So always invest in whatever that is right now, because it's all going to lead and culminate into something fabulous. You never know what the experience that those uh, that exposure in different areas will bring to their future. So important not to get hung up on that, um, and really invest in what their interests are right now. Whether or not you think it's going to be a career or not, that's really not the point. The point is this is a current interest, and this is something that means a lot to them. And how can I help them get the experience and the exposure and just be in an environment to be able to learn that particular thing or that skill? Finding mentors, same way. Ask around, pay attention. Everywhere I go, I'm looking at message boards. I am looking, at boards in the library. I will look at boards on a fence post. I will. I'm always looking for some kind of program or event or conference, anything that will give my kids, and not just my high schoolers, but any of my kids, the kind of experiences that will help them develop the desire in a particular area, or their skill, or their passion, or their expertise in a certain area. So keep your eyes and ears open, online, offline. Talk to a lot of people, ask a lot of questions. Sometimes you have people that are willing to share their expertise that are right in your backyard that you don't even know. Your neighbors, your family members, your storekeepers. These are people that love what they do and are willing to share their expertise and willing to share, what it is that they know and mentor someone else. So you can find mentors in all kinds of places for your children. So very important that you look into that, because we will never be our children's only teacher. There are people that know things that our children need to know that we don't know, that we can't teach them. And so it's really good to be able to find people that can help your children develop their gifts and their talents. So the next thing that I want to talk about is not locking them into a career. I think that is so incredibly important. A lot of people feel like interest-led learning is doing just that, locking a child into a career when they don't even really know what they want to do. I know what they want to do right now, and I know what makes them tick right now. And so I invest time, talent, energy, and money in that particular thing. And whether or not it ends in their life's work, that's not the point. The point is that I took interest in what they were currently interested in, and it benefited them. And so, as a mother, I always pray and ask God to help me see what it is that, what my children need and what direction they may go so that I can help them get there. But again, no experience, no mastery of any skill is wasted time, effort, or money. So we invest in what their current interests are. And if those interests turn into life's work, that's awesome. But if they turn into something different, that's amazing too, because God created our children to do something specific. And He's the one that knows what that is. We don't always know until we see things unfold. And that's what I'm here for, to help them in that direction. So I'm going to go back over the questions that we talked about. What does their day look like? Kind of very loose, very interest led, with a teeny bit of structure to give them ideas and motivation and inspiration. How do they set their goals for 4 years? Again, we look at where they want to be, then we decide how we want to get there. And that may look kind of schooly for one kid and totally out of the box for another. And so that's really that can be different per child. As far as annual goals and overall high school goals, those are things we set every single year, And again, they're all based on where they want to go and what they want to accomplish in their life. We're there to help them set those goals, and then we help them stay on pace throughout the year. Why spread out topics over 4 years? Again, gives them more uh, over 4 years. And when I say 4 years, I mean 4 full years, because we don't do a school year. So you have 4 full sets of 12 months to be able to expand your knowledge in any of the areas that you identify are areas of interest. And then we're able to take those and to turn them into something great. So let's see. How can I get them experience in fields of interest now? And finding mentors. Keep your eyes and ears open. Keep them open. There are people all around you, opportunities all around you to help your kids get to where they want to go. And again, don't feel like you have to lock your children into a career, or that that's what you're doing when you're doing interest-led learning. It's not that at all. You're basically helping them with their current interest and what may be something that leads toward their life's work. But even if it isn't, it's going to be a benefit to them. So keep at it. So that was part 2 of interest-led learning, the high school years. I hope it was helpful. I hope I was able to explain a little bit more than I was in the very first video. If you do have any questions, feel free to ask me down there in the comment section, or you can connect with me on Instagram or Facebook. Either way, I'm more than happy to answer questions, brainstorm with you for ideas, anything like that. I'm just here to help because I have found things that work for us, and it is a joy for me to help other people find that too. So feel free to ask me any questions, and feel free to give me any suggestions, because again, I am a mommy of 6 and I am always looking for new ideas. So I do not pretend to know it all, because I certainly do not. I am just learning every day, just like all the rest of us. So, but I do enjoy immensely sharing what it is that has worked for us with other people, because I feel like it's been a blessing to us. And I think that if somebody else can utilize some of the things that we do, or the way that we do it, then why not share it, right? So thank you for listening, and I will be back with the interest-led learning, the high school years, part 3. Thank you for listening. Bye.